eighth session of the Path of Purification. Before we open the session, let's step back into a few moments silence. So warm welcome to you all. Our facilitator tonight is probably known to most of you. She's quite prominent online. She's an immunologist by background, but she soon realized that that wasn't her calling. Her true calling is one of the heart. And in that true calling, she has joined NAMAH as an editor and a very frequent contributor of articles, very incisive and sincere articles she writes as well. And her online presentations are very, very powerful as well. Dynamic speaker and a very sincere and direct approach to a true way of living. She's gone through adversity in life, and that's obviously given her more strength. She's gone through cancer, and she's gone through many other adversities, and to be the being that she is today, which is a very, very sincere and sincere sadhak. So the subject of her presentation tonight is purification, why and how. So a very succinct title. So expect a very incisive and direct approach to this subject this evening. Looking forward to the session. Over to you, Monica.
Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for joining today. So I thought this is the second week of sessions today on purification. And I don't know really what additional I can add. I think we all really know too much, don't we? We read a lot and we are verse and still read Mother's and Sri Aurobindo's words. We are actively working on ourselves, all of us, most of us, aspiring to be more and more pure. So actually, I was at fail that what can I really truly offer? So I thought maybe we can start first by sharing reflections, if everyone or most of us can share. The question is why the need to talk about or to reflect upon topic of purification. And that should be very individual, like why do I personally need to talk about or reflect about purification. So if one by one, all of us can maybe share their own individual perspective, why we are here attending these sessions. All of us have, most of us must have paid money to be here. So why? That's the question. Because we don't just turn up for any session. We are here because there is something going on. And it would be nice to know that something. So if one by one, all of us can share their own responses, individual responses, it would be nice. Yeah, can you please unmute? Yes, please.
So Alison, I think Alison wants to speak. Yeah.
Hi, yes. I discovered Sri Aurobindo and the Mother a couple of years ago, and immediately fell in love with them and everything they said. I've been on a long spiritual journey looking for God. I live in the West, so God is a little bit different over here, especially in the circles that I normally frequent. So I joined this seminar series to deepen my connection with the teachings of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother. And actually, I look at these sessions as a component of my practice. I try to build in connection to my practice and my aspiration towards greater purity every day. And it can be a little bit challenging where I live because I don't have a community around me. So whether you know it or not, you are my virtual community. The work I've done so far on purification has brought me happiness that I never knew could be possible. So I continue to explore ways to sustain that in my life, because it's easy to get knocked down or focus on troubles, focus on negative things. And every day I want to make an effort to not do that, to instead replace that with positive aspiration and just a continual seeking to remove all of the impurities within that are obscuring what we all know is deep inside every one of us. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, yes, thank you. Very clear. Yeah, would anyone else also want to share?
I can share. So I was fortunate to have Mother and Sri Aurobindo in my life right from birth, with a center of Sri Aurobindo Study Circle being there at my residence in IIT Delhi campus. And my aspiration is silence, which is sustained of the mind. So having had from a very early age certain experiences, and then conscious effort, other experiences, just a living inner presence of silence and ananda is the aspiration. And the images of, it's like a distortion-free mirror which you have to constantly clean as a starting point. So that's why I'm here, and it's an ongoing process. Just like we have a bath every day, we keep cleaning. Thank you.
Beautiful. Yeah, thank you. Yes. Yeah, anyone else? Next.
Hi, I can share. I live in Greenville in South Carolina and associated with La Grasse. But I only found the Mother and Sri Aurobindo a couple of years ago. And since then, I was always searching. And somehow the piece in the jigsaw puzzle just fit. And now everything is beautiful. But one is always learning. I'm learning more and more and more each day, and especially from your webinars. Thank you, James. And I think, and I read the Savitri every day. So I just feel for me, it's constant learning and opening myself to Mother. And that is my journey, and I hope that will stay always. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Yes. Yeah.
I'll go.
Yes. Yes, Sanitri, please.
So Sunday evening, I was on an airplane. We got rerouted due to terrible weather and landed in Greenville. Spent an hour or so on the ground. And as I'm looking around, I'm like, okay, this Leela, what's going on? Trying to maintain the attitude of happiness, looking at the magnolias all over in abundance. So now I can feel more of why. Life constantly, at least for me, has these challenges, and they're as if they're packets, almost like packets of data, but small packets or larger packets. And going through this class and all of the classes, actually, it almost seems in real time to provide me more understanding of dealing with whatever is dealt to me. On another note, I'd like to say that being in the West, I was raised with a foundation of religion and faith, or however we want to word it, with Jesus and Mary. And so I felt like this is just a continuum, including everything in it and giving more definition as to how to lead a better life. But it's also challenging in the workplace, especially on the outside as a woman, because I deal in a male-dominated field, extremely male-dominated. When you're talking my age group, it's getting better for women in their 20s, 30s, 40s. So it's a purification for myself of how I deal with that situation, and just accept it inside, and whatever tools were given, even the exercise that we learned yesterday, the small meditation, that's very liberating too. So the purification seems to be a process of liberation and of service. So that's all. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yes. Yes. Anyone else would like to share? Why are we here? So we are just sharing why are we here today. Yes, Maha, please.
Yes, hi, namaste. I'm kind of new to the spiritual path and altogether, like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. But my first, what drove me to this path is just knowing the truth, what's beyond our life, what's the invisible. But then very quickly, I was brought to Sri Aurobindo and Mother, and I was fascinated. And now I discovered that we have the capacity to participate in divinizing or solving the problems that seems endless. So now this is a new path also. And this is only can be done when we purify our instrument. The work we were needed to be done is purifying the instrument to receive the divine, to divinize our, to participate in lifting the consciousness. And I participate in most of NAMAH's classes, and beautiful classes, just to like to deepen the groove of this new path for me. It's not easy because we are so much conditioned with the ego and responding, reacting instead of responding. So it's just a constant process of deepening, purifying and deepening this. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Yes. Yeah, anyone else feels like sharing? Okay. I'm assuming maybe nobody more at the moment. So thank you all of you to share. And I think we can see that there is this one thing which is common in all the sharing is this seeking. Seeking towards more and more cleanliness, one can say, purity, truth, light, and lesser we want disharmony, discord, chaos in our lives, no? So that's the seeking that all of us have. We can't, it's a kind of a thirst that is given to us, which kind of takes us, also propels towards the right journey. And what in us seeks the true. And as I shared in the beginning, that there is nothing new that I'm going to add. It's all Mother's and Sri Aurobindo's words that we are just going to repeat for ourselves, reiterate. It's the psychic that is it's like a, Mother is the divine consciousness, is the magnet, and psychic is like the iron fillings, that are implanted in us. So sooner or later, a little bit of opening happens. And even that little bit is good enough to have the unfolding in our life, that makes us seek, and we become discontent with our earlier, older versions of ourselves. They are not suiting us anymore. We want further more purity and further more purity. So what in us sees that the thing is not pure is the psychic consciousness. That's the beauty, that we have already something in us which, if we allow to come forward, it sees, like, how would I mop or clean the floor? Because something in me will see the garbage. That seeing is very important. So purification, when we talk about it, it is, I'm sure many of the speakers already must have touched about it, that it is, we can't talk of purification if we don't talk of who is seeing the impurity. What makes you see, oh, this was impure? That's the psychic consciousness already active. So this is very interesting, how our unfoldings and beautiful stories of each one of us, how our unfoldings are taking us towards more and more and more purity and consecration, because that is our birthright. Whether I am a sinner or a terrorist or a criminal or a regular ordinary guy, it doesn't matter really. Ultimately, it's our birthright, and that's why we see in Mother's prayers and meditations, Mother says divine victory is certain, because each one of us at some point of time, sooner or later, will have this turning. Otherwise, we won't be here today if we don't have the turning. So starting with Alison, she just taking the crux out of a few sharings, she commented on the importance of jewels. In Buddhism, we call 3 jewels: Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. So Sangha is the presence of this community that we give us, which takes us, pushes us, propels us towards the right. Because usually our chattery mind, it takes us downward. So then we need some company which pushes us upwards, because the chattery mind is here. We can be sure we have that company. As long as the body is there, we have that company. We can be sure about that. And that's why saint mystics like Kabir ji, Saint Kabir, he says that as long as I have breath in the body, a true sadhak will stay vigilant to that point of time, as long as you have breath. Because the moment you slip from vigilance, by default, what is active? The lower nature, the ego consciousness, the desiring self, which wants to crave, grasp, possess. Everything we stick to, our ideas, opinions, people in life, workplace, I am right, you are wrong. So this stickiness in us, which is, all of us must be reading Mother's and Sri Aurobindo's words. Sri Aurobindo in Synthesis of Yoga uses the word psychic prana. It's like this, imagine that you have a beautiful structure, vast structure, the whole being that we have, and in each and every part of the being, there goes like minute veins running, and this is the psychic prana. It just purifies everything. It's like a poison. So otherwise there is nothing wrong with the senses, but what needs to be purified is this poison of this craving part that is there. We begin to crave, we have dependency over things. If for example I am taking sessions, I become dependent, that if I am not taking sessions, then who am I? Identity crisis. So we become dependent on things, and that dependency is what has to be completely gotten rid of through all of our these baby efforts that we are doing, so that we totally rely on the divine and nothing else, so that we are able to act as a Jivan Mukta, as a true worker of the divine, like some of you were sharing, the aspiration to be the true worker of the divine. So purification helps us to be truly be working for the thing that we are made for. In Savitri, Sri Aurobindo says, so that our lives can be used for the one for whom we are made. And it's really strange that for some time we don't, like, as if we lose consciousness, so we don't know, why are we here, why am I living, just continuing living, eating, assimilating, eliminating, respirating. Why? Then we begin to ask why, what is the purpose of my life, why am I here? So we are here so that we can be used by the one who created us, and that's why purification is necessary. Sri Aurobindo talks about that human nature is like a cup full of dirty water, and that dirty water has to be taken away. But what we do is we throw away the dirty water in one moment, all of us know, and in the second moment we take it back. And that's why in Savitri, Sri Aurobindo says a long dim preparation is this human life. Every enemy slain revives again. Old cancelled passports, they are serving. So we make, again, these, just quoting these lines from Sri Aurobindo, we make our own enemies our guests. This is what purification has to look at, that so that we lose the taste for these things that we are harboring, which is in kind of working like an enemy to myself. So slowly, only with gradual experiences of life, we gain stature. We say that no, this is impure, this entangles me, this disturbs me, I refuse to accept it. We begin to notice the garbage. Earlier, I take garbage in, I invite the garbage in the name of a promise that the garbage will give me, don't we? We all have promises from the worldly life. This person, okay, for this purpose. Emotional satisfaction, mental satisfaction, intellectual satisfaction, some material need that the person is serving, some entangled sense of self that the person or the workplace is giving you. So slowly we have to become udasin. Sri Aurobindo also uses the word udasin. In Hindu also scriptures, we have the word udasin. Udasin is as if you are seated above. Udasin. You are seated above from these needs from the material existence. Why would I do that? And why do I need purification? because it pains, don't it? Impurities pain us. All of us know that the more we remain impure in our nature, sooner or later we have suffering in life. That's why we turn towards purification. If I think, I have this thing in my head, maybe wrong, but if I don't get suffering owing to the impurities in my life, I don't think I will ever turn to the divine. Personally, I think. So that's why the pain is required. We have the whole canto in Savitri, the way of fate and problem of pain. Why is pain there? Because I don't learn. I don't learn to purify, if not for the suffering that is caused by my craving, by desires, by jealousy, my heart burns, by ambition, lust, greed. All of these are very disturbing elements. Sri Aurobindo refers to the name as unquiet brood. He uses the word unquiet brood. All of these together, disturbing elements. So they disturb. We don't feel very nice when we are in the company of these visitors. No? And this is what we have to slay. Sri Aurobindo says they have to be slain again and again. And it's like a yagna is happening, like a beautiful sacrificial fire is in front of us. And he says, for the growth of the spirit, all these spirits intruders, jealousy, ambition, desire, craving, lust, you name it, all of us know, selfishness, greed, they have to put as an ahuti in this fire so that the true spirit can grow. But for a long time, we make of these unquiet brood our own guests. So that is what we have to stop doing. That is why we are enjoying whatever sessions or readings that we are doing, because they help us notice that, oh, here I entertained the guest who was actually an enemy. Why? Because of course I had the impurity. I still had some promise coming from that cherished visitor. No? It is, if not from the promises, I would not be really swayed. But we have all promises which are coming from the material realms. Oh, this thing will give me that. Oh, that thing will. So for our contentment, if we depend, for our joy, for our peace and bliss, all of that we crave in our life, if we depend upon material happenings, we are bound to be disappointed sooner or later, no? And that is why I will turn to the divine, because I see through my life happenings that no, this is not happening. Something is wrong, something is wrong. No? And still it takes a long time that I truly only rely on the divine, because we slip. Why do we slip? Because there are grooves. We all know what a groove is. It's like a pattern, like train tracks. So when train is running, it is running on these tracks and it is fitting on those grooves. So because we have walked on these paths again and again in the years of our life, the grooves are made. For a very good example is, like a forest. If there is a forest and if there is a way that you take every morning, what happens after some time? The grass begins to go off on that path and you have a clear path. So this is what we have done. These are our older patterns. But now we see that they are not serving anymore. They are bringing pain. They are bringing misery. I don't want this anymore in my life. So what do we have to do? We have to walk a new path, which now is full of grass, weed. And every time I have a choice, somebody was talking of choice, no? So you're standing on here, you have two paths, which way to go, the one that conceals the Godhead, as Sri Aurobindo says, or the one that liberates the Godhead. Sri Aurobindo talks about, when he talks about the meaning of the word Arya, who is an Arya? An Arya is the one who always tries to make the highest possible choice. So it's a lot of effort. Very easy is to go down the path which conceals the Godhead, which I have done for a long time. It's easy. The groove is set. But the personal effort is required where the groove is not set, where I have to find a new way through this new, the grown up grass. But what happens, it's again like a habit. We have to change our habits. The more I take that path, what happens? The older path begins to have more grass, the groove begins to dissolve, and the newer path begins to actually have a clear path now because of my constant walking on it. So this is how we have to change our nature. We have to change the taste that we have for lower things. And as Sri Aurobindo says that being an Aryan is a right choice every moment. It's a right choice. What is the right choice between? The effort between? The choice is if I am making a decision which is concealing the Godhead, or if I am making the decision or speaking a word or having a thought which is revealing the Godhead, which is taking me higher. What do I choose? So that's why it's not a passive surrender. It's a very active process of surrender. So we make this choice, we are feeling, say for example, empty. At times, it happens when in Letters on Yoga part 3, there is a chapter on emptiness, blankness, voidness. What happens when you clean all the rubbish off? It is empty. So many a times in our life, when we are not used to be with this emptiness, we begin to feel that, oh, is something wrong with me? Why am I feeling so dull, empty? So Sri Aurobindo says that this is what we have to go through, because emptiness is a prerequisite for the new to come. It's like the cup of dirty water. You have thrown away the dirty water. Now, because it is empty, you think that, oh, it's empty, let me fill it up with something. So you fill it up again, but it's again dirty. So you have to stay empty with that cup and wait for the true things to come and take place. So we have to become friends with emptiness. We don't have to run away from emptiness. Emptiness is a very, very important phase in life which will come. So those of us who would like to read or maybe have read, Letters on Yoga part 3, blankness, emptiness, void, where sadhaks are asking Sri Aurobindo that, is this okay, what I am feeling? So being with that emptiness is beautiful, because you have now chosen not to fill yourself up with garbage anymore. So you are very happy to be empty. What Anilji was sharing in the beginning, to more stabilize that emptiness, stillness, silence, because it is pregnant with potentiality. From that space of pregnant, empty potential, all the creative things come later. But we have to give it stability. Because of our older patterns, what happens at times is that we are not able to be very stable with that emptiness and stillness. We begin to fill it up with the lower nature again, the older patterns. Oh, let me call a friend, who I used to call, just to fill up that emptiness. Let me see a Netflix or a YouTube, which is so easily available nowadays. So to wait for the beloved to take up that empty space, keeping the temple clean, neat, pure. In Savitri, there are a few lines. An absolute supernatural darkness falls on man sometimes when he draws near to God. So all of us, it's a lone journey. Inward journey is a lone journey. There is, no matter how close a person to you, he can't walk that journey with you, neither can you, inside. So when you are approaching the true, and the older is shed, the new has not fully come. This is why, the disturbance. The new has not fully come, but I have gotten rid of all the old rubbish furniture. So there is a phase of emptiness that we have to go through. So I'll just take a pause here and maybe take reflections, and give me a moment, I'll be back. Yeah, so any reflections, any thoughts we can take, anyone?
Actually, I really appreciate you saying that about the emptiness, because it so much resonates with what I'm feeling now. And sometimes it is another kind of suffering. Am I doing the right thing? Am I doing enough? So I appreciate hearing this. Thank you.
If not anything at this moment, we'll just read a few lines. I've just made it into a document, not really slides. So we'll just go through a little bit again, Mother's and Sri Aurobindo's words. So in Synthesis of Yoga, Sri Aurobindo talks about that what I was sharing, it is these that have to be slain. It is not oneself, but the band of spirit's inner enemies that we have to discourage, expel, slay upon the altar of the growth of the spirit. These can be ruthlessly excised. So we have to, at times we can't do it really gently. One has to be ruthless. So and he says that pain will come, and let it come. It's okay. So these can be ruthlessly excised, whose names are desire, wrath, inequality, greed, attachment to outward pleasures and pains, the cohort of usurping demons that are the cause of the soul's errors and sufferings. These should be regarded not as part of oneself, but as intruders and perverters of our self's real and diviner nature. These have to be sacrificed in the harsher sense of the word, and whatever pain in going they may throw by reflection on the consciousness of the seeker. So it's a very auspicious kind of a pain. And why that pain is there? Because it's like, it has become our skin. So when we are shedding some skin, it hurts, but it's not our true self. Just because of a long association, it has become like a skin. Now that when skin is shedding off, it hurts, but the new is going to come. So we have to bear that pain. And just taking a few lines from Savitri, there are many, many more, but just reducing myself to these few. At times we are just running older patterns which are not befitting. So he says in the beginning of Savitri, repeating forever the unconscious act when we are ruled by these patterns, prolonging forever the unseeing will, cradled the cosmic drowse of ignorant force, earth wheeled, abandoned in the hollow gulfs, forgetful of her spirit and her fate. And this can also, again, this can be talked in various layers, but right now I'm taking it in personal context, where when we are ruled by all these patterns which we are not looking at, are they serving me well at all? We are forgetful of our spirit and our true fate. And since it takes a lot of time to change truly, hard it is to persuade earth nature's change. Mortality bears ill the eternal's touch. We are not used to that purity. So we want the older lollipops again and again. Give me just one. Can't survive. Too much absence of the lollipops. We all have our lollipops. All of us know. And again, what we have just so far discussed, page 439, we make of our own enemies our guests. Out of their holes, like beasts, they creep and gnaw the chords of the divine musician's lyre, till frayed and thin the music dies away, or crashing snaps with a tragic note. So we have to stop fueling these enemies which are residing within, because they are the ones they'll eat us up from within, like a termite eats wood from within. Man's lower nature hides these awful guests. Their vast contagion grips sometimes man's world. An awful insurgence overpowers man's soul. And usually we see that, oh, everybody is doing that, so why can't I indulge? It's a vast contagion. Very hard. That's why good company is a good helper on the path, because it propels with co-travelers that, oh, it is possible to walk towards purity. And then the purification, how Sri Aurobindo says that how we mostly are identified with the desire soul, and we have to leave the desire soul and move towards the true consciousness, the true soul. Desiring soul is not the true soul. This evil nature housed in human hearts, a foreign inhabitant, a dangerous guest. The soul that harbors it, it can dislodge, expel the householder, possess the house. So what it does is, ego consciousness or the desire self, whatever the landlord who has given it space, it expels it from the house. It becomes its own landlord. So the soul that harbors it, it can dislodge, expel the householder, possess the house. This is how our ego consciousness possesses each of the instruments which now we were talking of purifying, and taking it away from the grip of ego consciousness. The mind, the thoughts, the feelings, the body. And here Sri Aurobindo talks about how in absence of vigilance, we allow the enemies within, unstudied by the guardian of the doors. As if there is no guard sitting on the fence, and the land is open to intruders. Unstudied by the guardian of the doors and passed by a blind instinctive memory. Why? Because, oh, I used to do that, I can do that again. Blind instinctive memory, older patterns. The old gang dismissed, old cancelled passports serve. So nobody is there to check, oh my God, I have rejected you so many times. Nobody is there to check. The old cancelled passports, they are serving, because there is no guard over there. Nothing is wholly dead that once had lived. In dim tunnels of the world's being and in ours, the old rejected nature still survives. So that's why vigilance. That's why never to say that, oh, I have overcome anger. Now never can the anger, take me away. Because you can never say never. We don't know what is the next moment. The old rejected nature still survives. So vigilance is important. Corpses of its slain thoughts raise their heads. We thought that, oh, this thought I had rejected. It will come up, it will show up in your dream or somewhere it will come up. Not fully gone. The corpses of its slain thoughts raise their heads and visit mind's nocturnal walks in sleep. Its stifled impulses breathe and move and rise. All keeps a phantom immortality. And that's why vigilance to the last breath of the body. We can never say, I have done sadhana for 50 years, 60 years, so now you can sit back and bask. Vigilance is forever required. Irresistible are nature's consequences. The seeds of sins renounced sprout from hid soil. The evil cast from our hearts once more we face. Our dead selves come to slay our living soul. Beautiful, no? Line. Our dead selves come to slay our living soul. So then we go through this void, when we begin to become aware that, okay, this has to be purified, no garbage allowed. And this is what I was sharing. An absolute supernatural darkness falls on man sometimes when he draws near to God. An hour arrives when fail all nature's means, forced out from the protecting ignorance and flung back on his naked primal need, he at length must cast from him his surface soul, the desire soul that we were talking. and be the ungarbed entity within. So two movements Sri Aurobindo talks of, or most of us may be aware, the inward movement and the upward movement. The inward movement is finding Mother's presence within, in the depths of our hearts, making it more concrete every day. As concrete as, for example, I have a watch in this hand, it's concrete for me. I can touch and sense. So we have to make it more concrete. And the upward movement. Again, there comes a line, two lines in Savitri, a silence overhead, an inner voice, and a living image seated in the heart. Two movements, upward movement, stabilizing above the head, a few inches above the head. Sri Aurobindo talks about, again, those of us interested, letters on yoga, part 3. And deeply in the depth of the being, you have the psychic presence. So there is a positive side to all that, okay, that lower nature is there, we have been serving it, but now there is something higher possible for us, towards which we all have to move. But for such a vast spiritual change to be out of the mystic cavern in man's heart, the heavenly psyche must put off her veil and step into common nature's crowded rooms. It has to transform thoughts, it has to transform feelings, make it aligned with the psychic consciousness. It has to step into common nature's crowded rooms. We don't have to stay away, that, oh, these are just like that. And stand uncovered in that nature's front. So he's asking us to go there and check, supervise. Is all in alignment with the psychic? Okay, yes. And rule its thoughts and fill the body and life. Obedient to a high command, she sat. This comes when, in the search for parable for the soul, Savitri is sitting. Obedient to a high command, she sat. Time, life, and death were passing incidents. Every little happening, we give so much importance, not really distracting ourselves too much. Obstructing with their transient view her sight that must break through and liberate the God imprisoned in the visionless mortal man. The inferior nature born into ignorance still took too large a place. It veiled herself. So when we were talking of purification, this is what that has to be cleared and mopped away. The inferior nature, ruthlessly excised. The inferior nature born into ignorance still took too large a place, not to entertain these things again and again every day, and must be pushed aside to find her soul. He could have said entertained, but he didn't say that. He said pushed aside. It has to be pushed aside because it's not the true us. So yeah, again, there are so many, and I can just go on and on and on. And just this one, all the world's possibilities in man are waiting as the tree waits in its seed. His past lives in him, it drives his future's pace. His presence acts, fashion his coming fate. This is where we have to put the focus. Present acts, fashion his coming fate. The unborn gods hide in his house of life. So just, I think before we end, I'd like to take some reflections and thoughts towards the end. Yeah, acha. So Sharda ji has asked something, how to make the mother's presence concrete. Yeah, would anyone want to share anything on it? How do we make anything concrete, for example? How do I make, say, for example, this bottle concrete? Because if it breaks, I cry. So I make it concrete for me. No? If I get it, I become happy. No, that's how we make it concrete. So we have to just do that with the mother's presence. Yes, love the mother. Yes. So that's why, many masters have said the senses. And even Sri Aurobindo in Savitri, he says the senses act as a veil in the front. They don't let you truly have the true sight, the soul sight. Because for me, mother is in my heart, but she's not as concrete as the bottle, isn't she? No, she's not. Why? Because the senses tell me, see, the bottle is there, I can touch it. It sounds. And even the quantum physics now tells us that senses is not everything. There is something beyond the senses happening. Yes, Anna, please.
Yes, for me, I've been close to Aurobindo and the mother for 25 years or something like that. And I wanted, also to introduce myself. I live in Colombia, and I'm very grateful and very happy to also get in touch with all of you, because I think it's so beautiful to grow together, to have that strength, and also to be reminded. It's like we forget this forgetful nature all the time. So be in touch with the true purpose of life and the true aspiration in our hearts is so important. And through the years, I have like many things have happened in my life. And what has become concrete, that the mother and Sri Aurobindo have been my rock. They have always been there for me, all along. Now I realize they are a true presence. I have pictures of them all over my house, in the door of my home. There's the symbols of Aurobindo and the mother, but they are a presence. It's like they're a shield. They're there all the time. They have helped me through everything I have gone through, and they guide the way. And I see, sometimes I forget, but then again, I see their presence in my life, and how, they put me back in the sunlit path. So it's amazing. They are a true presence. They are a force that is always there. Yes.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you. Yes. So as Anna said, you just like we make all the material things so concrete, don't we? The TV, the cars, the houses that we have, because we think about it. We are concerned. So think about Mother Sri Aurobindo, feel Mother Sri Aurobindo. These are the inner senses that have been given to us. Talk to them. It's nothing new that we are sharing. We all of us know that. And that matters to us. Like car matters to us. If car breaks, we are hurt. We try to fix it. So when that presence, and if we lose the touch, we begin to again try to find it again. That, oh, I feel that I've disconnected. Let me find it again. Like that, it becomes concrete. You begin to rely upon that. There is a flower. It's called Parijat or Aparajita also. It's Radha's consciousness. And the beauty with Radha's consciousness is that it's just glued to Krishna's consciousness, isn't it? So that's what we have to do. We have to just glue, because now the thing is that if I'm not gluing myself to any divine concrete presence, be sure that I will be gluing myself to something or the other. Be sure, because we have this sticky nature, no? And where do we usually stick ourselves to? We stick to my thoughts, my feeling, my storyline. What I am thinking is true, or what I think about the other person or the life, that's true. So we will be sticking ourselves somewhere or the other. The best place is stick yourself to the mother or Sri Aurobindo. Safest. Only those were safe who kept God in their hearts.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, anyone else wants to add on or share? My fear is I am becoming dependent on these programs. Is that okay? I don't think that would be okay. I would not suggest it. From time to time, I feel personally for myself. See, I also become a part of these sessions from time to time, and I have my own sessions also happening. But I think from time to time, it is very important just to be rid of all the roles that we are attached to. I feel it's very important, and just to lose all the dependencies but on the divine. So I recommend stopping to my own. I'm not saying to stop to come for James sessions. Please don't do that. Come. But I'm taking, usually we take open sessions, So I say that please, don't become dependent on these sessions. Like, if I have a broken leg, it is good for some time to be dependent on a crutch, but only for some time. And what will a true person who is next to you, who is maybe a guide or occupational therapist, what would he do? The moment he realizes that you don't need it anymore, he will actually throw away with cruelty your crutch. That's the best form of love, because now he knows that you can walk. So I would not suggest dependency on anything. For example, even reading, anything that becomes dependency becomes like, again, that stickiness only. So from time to time, but again, we can't throw away the crutch too early. That would be too soon, no? So like a sapling has a fence around it. If the sapling says, oh, I am independent, now I don't need the fence around, the elephant or the animals will come, trample over, the sapling is gone. So only I will be the person who would notice for myself that, okay, now I'm ready to take a solitude or a break, or, just to check my dependency. Am I okay? Am I stable within, without all the crutches around? So from time to time, I feel we must do that. It just strengthens, I feel. But what is that time? Only you would know. So, don't throw away the crutch too soon, but only you would know. Yeah. Yeah, so we can have more comments or reflections. Yes, yes.
Yeah, I'm Vijaya here from Bangalore. Yeah, see, for me, how do you make, like, we said, how to make the mother or Sri Aurobindo more concrete is, what they normally say is remember and offer. So that is what, I've been doing. I got into touch with Sri Mother's and Aurobindo's teachings almost 10 years back. I was in Podicherry for almost 1 week, attending a course there, and that is how I got introduced to their works. And yes, but sometimes we forget in our day-to-day work, we tend to forget, to remember and offer. But again, that awareness is there, what is it? Why am I getting back, like you said, into my same old routine? And, when I'm there for a new, change waiting to happen. So that is when again that, remember and offer comes into mind. And, every day, if you can do that. And I feel that the grace, when you do that, the grace is always there. That I've noticed and I've seen in my life also, that when you remember and offer that, so in that case, you are not carrying everything. You know that, yes, there is somebody higher up who is guiding us. So that is what my journey has been.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, thank you. Yes. And also, I think all of us maybe, because I feel at times that the kind of lifestyles we have, I feel that we have too much time at hand. So it becomes very easy for the older patterns to just keep running because there is just too much time, just too much time. And we are, all of us here today, we are not truly those yogis who can make true good use of their time. For example, meditate, stabilize their consciousness, attain yogic consciousness. We don't do that, right? So I recommend, and it is again, we see in ashram, Pondicherry, more than me, all of us would know that how karma yoga was very much required in ashram premises. Everybody, along with meditation, contemplation, reading, whatever, is involved in some or the other kind of works, physical works. Nowadays, because of too much intellectual, philosophization, that has become a little low in our life. Maybe a little, not little is a maybe too low, I can say. So I feel that to offer our services all of us, wherever we are, in whatever capacity, towards the work, true good work, we must offer. We must physically offer our time and presence. And through Karma Yoga, then we get to know further that, oh, I thought my anger is conquered, but see, it is still there. No? So, and not only just families in which we live, because that's too little a horizon. Expanding ourselves and offering ourselves in communities, whatever little things that you can do around yourself to interact physically and to offer yourself selflessly in some work towards higher work. I think that must be part of our sadhana, because at times too much reading, philosophization, and thinking about, oh, I am this, all these impurities are there, it doesn't help much. Again, we are just too self-obsessed. If we read Mother's prayers and meditations, we will see what she says. She says, oh, please teach all these members of my being self-forgetfulness, self-abnegation, because too much focus takes us down. So when we are working physically towards maybe some working in some garden somewhere, whoever nature inclines with, whatever, we do that work. But it really, really is very helpful if we can offer ourselves physically, if possible, to some extent somewhere, because that really keeps us, we were all talking of remembering, and because we forget, it keeps us always connected. So yeah, I feel that part is a little too neglected in the mental world nowadays. And also nowadays, for example, we have Zoom online sessions. So I see that I have to actually push myself into work, some physical kind of engagement, because at times we just online sessions, taking too much online sessions, I feel that we begin to think something, but we are not there. So to be on ground, it is good to physically work somewhere and offer your time, skills, presence, abilities. And we all have all kinds of abilities. Yeah. So that should be, I feel, part of all that we were discussing, the part of purification. Yeah, so one last thing that I maybe wanted to share with you, maybe read if there is 2 minutes, only 2 minutes it will take. So there is this very interesting hymn to Durga, some of us may know, by Sri Aurobindo, and it tells, like it just invokes and ignites this Aryan spirit in us, and where he shares what actually needs to be purified. Where I just underlined a few lines. Mother, destroy our smallness, our selfishness, our fear. Slay with thy pitiless cry, not to ask that, oh, mother, have pity on me. Slay with thy pitiless cry the enemies who dwell within us. May none remain alive there, not one. May we become pure and spotless. This is our prayer. May we no longer desire the small. So we were talking of losing the taste for older stuff. May we no longer desire the small, void of energy, given to laziness, stricken with fear. All these are impurities which needs to be excised. Come, revealer of the hero path. So again, this is a whole prayer and hymn, but I have not taken it full. And just one last message that I want to leave us with. This is a darshan message, I think, of 6 January 1952, the inaugural day of Sri Aurobindo International University Center. Make of us the hero warriors we aspire to become. May we fight successfully the great battle. Now she talks about what is the battle. Battle of the future that is to be born, against the past that seeks to endure. So the past that is not leaving us, sticking to us like anything, and the future that is waiting to be born. The future that is to be born against the past that seeks to endure, so that the new things may manifest and we may be ready to receive them. So maybe we all have our own prayers, but it can be pasted on the wall and again as a remembrance, and there's something wrong with the lamp today. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's where I end. If there are any last comments, we can take.
Just to let everyone know, actually, that Monica is facilitating a workshop on the 21st of June for 3 days, 4 o'clock start IST. And the topic of the workshop is opening to the descent of peace and force. So I certainly recommend that.
Thank you, James. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining in, and thank you for your presence and sharing and everything. And happy practice to each one of us on our own paths. Thank you.
Always.
Thank you. Always, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Monica.
Thank you.
And thank you, everyone, for
Thank you, James. Thank you.
participating so meaningfully. It was wonderful. And tomorrow we have Subhashri, Dr. Subhashri Savadamutu. So I look forward to that. And thank you, Monica. And thank you, everyone. And see you again tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.